There was a lot of resistance. I was on my L's. I broke up with a long-term partner, moved home, started in real estate. These 3 big life changes. And I just went, boom, let's go.
Choose to start your career in real estate when you were 26 years old.
My dad, my uncle, my grandfather, my mum are all real estate agents. If you come to a family Farah dinner, you're guaranteed to talk about real estate. And if you don't like talking about real estate, then tough luck. And after school, I used to go to the office. I used to take the rent in cash and also take money orders.
My family, they very harder on me, but softer with other people that are not part of the family.
Yeah. You think real estate cold calling is hard? Cold calling, selling corporate hospitality is very difficult. There have been pivotal moments in my life where real estate has just been a part of it. I remember the first sale that I worked on. It was a freestanding house in Conway Avenue in Randwick. I was blown away. And I remember the couple that bought it. And I just remember the feeling. And my mum said, give it 3 months. I really loved it.
That's what I believe makes a good family. One day you teach you a lesson. Stephanie, Farah, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
We made it after a few weeks. We've been talking about it. Thank you so much for coming.
No worries. Thanks for not sending me the questions.
Yeah, I know you asked what are we going to talk about? I like to keep it real.
No, I do. I like it. It means it's more natural and more fluid. So, yeah.
Yeah. Nah, thank you for this. So, 11 years in real estate.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever take some time to actually reflect? I've been in this game for 11 years. You feel
No, I mean, I feel like I've always been in real estate.
Yeah.
There have been pivotal moments in my life where real estate has just been a part of it. You know, I mean, my dad, my uncle, my grandfather, my mum are all real estate agents. And I mean, I remember we were on... So it was a Saturday morning. I would have been about 12. This is a bit of a sad story. I was on my way to Saturday Sport, but we were going to, my dad was calling an auction before Saturday Sport. Yeah. So we were driving down Fitzgerald Avenue, Maroubra, and my dad got a call that my grandfather had passed. It happened very suddenly. And my dad went to that auction. He pulled over the car. I knew straight away that had happened, and he went to that auction and he called the auction and he did such an amazing job. But, you know, whenever there've been so many memories and pivotal points in my life, and real estate is just surrounded by it. You know, I've lived and breathed it, even though I've only been in the industry for 11 years. Yeah, like I was telling you earlier, I mean, after school, I used to go to the office. I used to, take the rent in cash and also take money orders and, answer the phones. And I would do that 3 afternoons a week to make extra money.
How old were you when you were doing it?
Year 10, 11 and 12.
So actually born and bred.
So, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so, wow. So dad, mom, uncle, all in real. So dinner's conversation was all about real estate.
Yeah, my poor auntie, who's a travel agent, had not a word in. Yeah, so if you come to a family Farah dinner, you're guaranteed to talk about real estate. And if you don't like talking about real estate, then tough luck. Sorry.
Wow. Okay. So interesting. You're born and bred in Maroubra.
Yeah, Maroubra.
Angie, Farah. Shout out to your brother Mitch.
Yes, well, he's not part of the family business, but we won't hold that against him.
No, we all love you, Mitch.
Yeah,
me especially. Okay, and you grow up in a family, a real estate family, but you choose to start your career in real estate when you were 26 years old. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so. And I'm trying to be, so you born in a family where you talk about real estate all the time, but if you start at 26 years old, make me think that you were not sure if you wanted to do that. No. Is that correct?
There was a lot of resistance. I mean, I wasn't, I was a bit of a naughty girl at school. And what I knew after year 11 and 12 is that I liked organising parties.
Yes.
So I decided to do event management. I went to uni, did a Bachelor of Business. Didn't get into uni straight away. Had to work my way in there because, again, I wasn't the best student in high school. Yeah. And then I worked in events for, from when I was in my early 20s up till 26. The last 2 years of working in events, I was selling corporate hospitality Hospitality for the NRL.
Yes. So a lot of sales.
Yeah. So I guess the reason for my resistance, and I mean, my parents would think this sounds ridiculous, but for me, it was the easy way out, right? Mum and my dad had a business. It was very successful. I mean, it still is, but very successful at the time. And I just thought my dad came from very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
He worked very hard to, send my brother and I to, private schools. And I just thought, if I leave St. Catherine's and then go and work in the family business, I mean, what a cop-out. And he didn't know I ever felt that way. I just felt like I was not doing the right thing by them by doing something else,
Right.
They didn't encourage or discourage us to do real estate. They just said, do whatever makes you happy, So,
Wow.
yeah, and it was funny, it's just the stories you tell yourself, right?
Yes.
They'll be disappointed that I didn't do something more.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so proud of me now, but
Yeah.
it's funny.
I mean, sounds very familiar. Like a lot of now, the way you are mentioning this sounds like was more in your head.
Yeah, totally. We tell ourselves these stories and their narrative, all the time. Whereas the reality of that is very rarely true.
Yeah. So you were selling corporate events, and that's where you got into sales. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I was selling corporate hospitality for the
Yes.
NRL, State of Origin and Grand Final.
Yes.
$10,000 tables for these events.
Yes.
Cold calling. I mean,
Yeah.
you think real estate cold calling is hard. Cold calling, selling corporate hospitality is very difficult. And I was really struggling with it. It was hard. You don't get little wins. People literally did hang up on you. I mean, and not hang up on you in real estate. That doesn't really happen. Because people love real estate, right?
Yeah.
People love to hear about information about
They do.
things in their street and stuff.
It's true.
Whereas, if you're the marketing manager for Amy and you've already spent your budget for corporate hospitality, you don't want to hear to some girl who will try to sell you a table for 10 grand for the Brisbane State of Origin. So it was hard.
Got it. Okay. So how long did you do that for?
I did that for close to 2 years. Got home, went to my mum's one night for dinner. I was complaining and she just said, just give it a go. Worst case scenario, just give it a go and see how what happens. So that weekend, I by the way, I didn't drive until I was 26 because I was scared of driving. So
Right.
I went and bought a car. I was on my L's. I broke up with a long-term partner and moved home and started in real estate. I had these 3 big life changes.
Fresh
and I
new
just
start.
went, boom, let's go. Yeah, it was good.
Wow. Okay. All happened
Yeah.
at once.
Yeah.
New job, new boyfriend,
Yeah.
and driving.
Yeah, driving. Believe it or
Okay.
not.
Okay. So, and you said, okay, can I try? And you asked someone in the family, hey,
So I called
can I
my
help?
dad, and Dad said, yeah, coincidentally, Theo, one of the licensee at Coogee office, has availability. His sales associate had just left, and he said, great. The salary was 39,000, or maybe it was 44,000, a year. And I was like, oh no, Dad, I get paid double that, And this was 11 years ago, where I am. And Dad was like, I don't care. Dad was like, that's what it. That's what you get paid. And I was like, no. I'm the boss's daughter. It doesn't work like that.
Wow.
It was a real rude shock, especially being in my mid to late 20s. My girlfriends and friends had all progressed in their careers, had all started making good money. And I felt like I was just starting back, from the bottom again.
Interesting. And I believe that's a sign of a good father. I don't know, because it makes you go through the foundations.
Yeah.
In order for you to build a career. So you were making 80 grand a year or a previous job.
Yeah.
You asked Dad, can I please come in? And say, yeah, no worries, 40 grand if you want to start.
Yeah.
And you say, okay.
I actually thought he was kidding. And then I was genuinely annoyed at him for a really long time about it. But I am very grateful now. I understand why he did what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Often, people think oh, yeah, family business.
Yeah.
No, really. Yeah, sounds like my family now, you made me think, is this, they very harder on me, but softer with other people that are not part of the family, which is interesting. And that's what I believe makes a good family. It means you want to teach you a lesson.
Yeah.
Okay, so 26 years old, started, and how was the start? Because at the start is always painful.
Oh, and I was blown away. I remember the first sale that I worked on. It was a freestanding house in Conway Avenue in Ramwick, and
You remember the street name?
yeah. And I remember the couple that bought it, and I just remember the feeling. Damo did the auction, and I remember like seeing these people buy the property at auction. And even though I'd seen my dad call auctions before, I'd never been part of the process like that.
Yeah.
And I really loved it. And my mum said, give it 3 months. And I knew after a couple of weeks, I really loved it. I mean, if you like people, because, real estate is a customer service industry.
It is.
Yes, it's sales and customer service. But if you don't like people, if you don't actually want to help people, then, you'll only last so long.
I agree. This industry, it is all people skills.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the next question. At the start, the main challenges that I've noticed at real estate agent or anyone, I believe in the industry, buyers agents, and more try to get the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So was there someone to help you, to guide you through the process, or was more of a you need to go out there, ask questions, make mistakes? How was the start?
So, I mean, I worked with Theo for 12 months.
Yes.
And that was a really great start. What I realized, though, is I found it difficult to take direction from my dad. And I just felt like I needed to get out of the family business. I keep talking about my dad. My dad is amazing. I just found it difficult. And I thought, I've got to go somewhere else. I need to learn from people that I haven't known my whole life. I mean, Theo started working at the office. He'll hate me for saying this, when I was 2.5 years old. I've known him my whole life. He's like an uncle to me.
Yeah.
We weren't as close then as we are now, but, it's really beautiful. But I needed to venture out. So I went to Sotheby's.
Yes.
And I worked alongside Daphne Savage for about 6 or 7 months. Yeah, and Daphne is the queen of Darling Point.
She is.
What she does in Darling Point is amazing, and she's big on profile and really being known in that area. And, she taught me some really invaluable lessons. But what I learned working with her was that I wanted to be selling real estate in Coogee and Maroubra and, like my area, where I grew up, where I knew people. So that was interesting, and then I went and worked at Rain and Horn down in Coogee for I think about 1.5 years or so.
Yeah.
And that was great because I was a sales associate to the team. So I had a lot of freedom. So I wasn't working alongside any specific person.
Yeah.
And then, I found out that the agency were going to be buying out, their office.
Yeah.
And that's when I called my dad and said, hey, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, why don't you come back?
Yeah.
I was not ready to come back as a standalone agent, but I had no choice because they weren't going to pay me a salary.
Yeah.
That's not how it works in real estate.
Yes.
And I went back and just had to dive in the deep end.
Yeah, but when you went back, you have quite a bit of experience. You come back as a different person.
Yeah, different person. I mean, what I had learned along the way was it was really important to have mentors in the industry and out of the industry. So the mentors and the relationships that I have aren't necessarily from, people at Farah's or even the other agencies I've worked at. I mean, Trent Knox, who used to be an agent, I trained with him. He, put me in touch with Jason Boone.
Yes.
Booney and I are now really great mates. Pete Vines from Ray White Commercial. Like, they're probably two people that I go to a lot, with certain situations, or I need to bounce things off, which is good. Like, it's so important to have people to call.
Yeah.
But like, even when I started, I remember being in real estate for maybe like a year or two, and I asked Damien Cooley, I want to learn from some agents. Who should I reach out to? I met Peter Gordon from Cobden and Hayson, and I went and had a coffee with him. He gave me all these pointers. I called Will Phillips one day, and I was like, do you mind if I sit down and listen to how your team does things, and listen on their phone calls for an hour or two? If you ask agents,
that's amazing,
they will give you opportunities. I was lucky that I knew people as well, and I just wasn't afraid to ask. I was like, what's the worst they're going to say?
That's very good. Just pick up the phone and reach
Yeah.
out. I like that one.
You know, all the successful agents out there will give a young person time because they remember what it was like for them, and they're not scared that you're going to go and steal their leads or call, like, you know, they're confident and secure in themselves enough.
Yeah, I love that because especially I would say young or someone who's getting into the industry can get very intimidated by them, and they scared to actually ask a question. And I love that you've done that because they probably develop all of these people that you spoke to. You reach out to the person that you are right now.
Well, like I said before when we were chatting, you know, I learned how to, you know, the questions to ask in a listing presentation from an interview that I saw, I think Tom Panos did with Will Phillips. And I remember sitting there like writing down all the notes going, hey, this is what I asked, this is how I do it, this is how I structure it. Like, you know, you have to go out and look for the information.
Yeah.
Like you've got to go out and search for it. No one's going to hand you anything. And that's in any industry, anything you do in life, right?
I agree that, and I love that point. Actually, what would you say is a tip? Because this is, especially in the East, is a male-dominated industry. I think has been changing in a positive way for the last few years.
Yeah.
But because you've been be consistent with results for a long time in these areas, which is amazing, which is not easy. And I actually spoke with people that you sold property. They're so loyal to you. I'm like, wow. What's the tip for you from ladies, especially? They get into the industry and they start and they feel like, this is a little bit too masculine here. There's a bit too testosterone here. But you've been able to kick ass industry. What's the tip that would you give to a lady that's starting in the industry and then going through these challenges?
I think a great agent will be a great agent, whether they're male or female. So you've either got it in you or you don't. And I feel like, you know, as a woman in the industry and for young women in the industry, I think when you come in with that preconception that, you know, it is so masculine and it's so male dominated and I'm going to be up against all, like, you know, even when you speak within that narrative, it almost sounds negative, right? So I think it's about like changing that and going, okay, well, how lucky I am that there isn't that many, you know, females in the industry. So, you know, if I'm going out to a listing appointment, I can guarantee I'm probably one of 3 women. Yeah. Like that already sets me apart. I think the most important thing for a woman, you know, or for, you know, anyone really, is to be prepared first and foremost, but also, you know, this is about backing yourself. And I think you can take that into any industry and most sales jobs, right? Like if you have conviction, you know, and you are assertive, for me personally, and I can't speak on behalf of obviously, you know, all women, but for me personally, my issue when I started was I wasn't as assertive. And I lacked the conviction because I had a lot of self-doubt. Because I told myself that I was at a disadvantage being a woman, whereas I know now I use it as an advantage. Like, you know, I think it's how it's just how you see it. So, you know, I make a point of saying in the listing presentation, you know, this is how I work, this is, you know, how I build rapport, and I am assertive, and when I need to turn it on, I'll turn it on. And, you know, and Adrian Bowe says something like, you don't know what you don't know, or your vendors don't know what you don't tell them, right? So if you don't tell them that you're going to do that, how are they supposed to know? So if they meet with me and then they meet with someone else who naturally is more assertive, just physically and the way they speak, well, they're going to feel that energy. So if they may not necessarily be feeling it from me, but I'm telling them and I've got conviction in what I'm saying, then it's going to follow through.
I love this one. I'm gonna pick a few things that I think is gold. Thank you for sharing that. So you were not born confident or assertive. You build yourself up to their level in order for you to become assertive and confident. And I love when you mention self-doubt.
Oh, it's like
it's not just a girl thing.
No, it's in
everyone. Totally. 100%. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So go through the self-doubt.
Yeah.
Watch the way you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Use people around that pick up the phone and ask a question. What's the worst thing that possibly happen? They say no, who cares? You got a lot of people that you can pick the brain from and build yourself up to a certain level that you become assertive. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
That's okay. My pleasure.
One more. Challenges means, what would you say has been? So now you went back to Farah, solo agent,
Yeah.
and other challenges,
Yeah.
but now you got a strong experience that you can go out there and I'm gonna build my profile. I'm gonna sell some properties. I'm gonna find my unique selling point. I believe you, through these challenges, you develop yourself. What would you say the main challenges that you face? And this can be distraction, or this can be party, or this can be drinking, it be the wrong boyfriends, any of them.
All of the above. Okay, so I'm going to answer this question in two ways.
Yes.
So the biggest challenges I've had, or some of the biggest challenges, is when I've had to make change. So going from debit credit to standalone, going from standalone to hiring, my first assistant, that step back to NG Farah, going further back, making the step to go into Farah's or start real estate. I've always resisted the change, and whenever I've done it, I wish I'd done it, so much sooner. So for anyone listening who, is worrying or concerned about hiring their first assistant, just do it. Stop thinking about it, because as soon as you do it, you think, why didn't I do this before?
That's so
So that's been one challenge. I think what I've learned in the last, I would say, 3 years is your health is the most important thing, and who you surround yourself with outside of work. So, I stopped drinking for, a year and a half, and I just, needed a bit of a circuit breaker. I'm more than happy to say that and share that. I wasn't living a super healthy lifestyle. Like, I was working myself to the bone and then enjoying myself way too much on the weekends. And that is not you can't live like that forever.
You can't, you can't sustain it, especially in these industries.
There was, something that happened, and I just went, I am responsible for my own life. I am responsible for my future, and I need to pull my socks up and sort my shit out. So, and it wasn't easy when I first stopped drinking. That was really difficult, but I just kept at it. I made sure I was surrounding myself with the right people as well.
Right.
I think if you are surrounding yourself with the right people and you're doing the right stuff outside of work, it's only going to have a positive impact when you get to work.
Yeah.
You can't have a great career in any industry and be, have a destructive relationships with yourself and with other people on the outside, because it impacts and it follows through. Like, it can't
everything.
Not. You might be able to get away with it for a period of time. So, your health really is the most important. I've been dealing with some back issues for the last 12 months, and I've got spinal surgery in a few weeks. And dealing with debilitating pain, and struggles with not being able to train and exercise, have been really difficult, because, what I've learned is real estate isn't my all, or I'm not completely fulfilled by real estate. I'm not completely fulfilled by my relationship or by my training. I need to be fulfilled within myself first. All of those things add to my life. But if one of those things or two of those things are taken away, I can't fall apart.
Yeah.
It's the last 12 months has been really interesting, because, exercise used to be my outlet. You stop drinking and partying, and then, the exercise is the outlet. But what happens when the exercise is taken away? That's been really interesting for me.
Yeah, to work.
Yeah. But, I'm in the best place that I've ever been, physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And I'm not training myself into the ground, and I'm not partying, and I very rarely drink. Yeah. And, Stephanie 3 years ago wouldn't have said that to you.
I like that. So before you used to drink maybe in the weekend as in a certain way escape.
Yeah,
maybe
totally.
You had a tough week. A lot of people do.
It's the outlet, right?
Yeah.
finish opens on a Saturday, go and have a drink in the afternoon. Like a lot of people do it. There's nothing, wrong with it. And I'm not going to say, everyone's circumstances are different. I just know what works for me, and I know what works for me now and doesn't work for me.
Yeah, yeah. And after you replace the drinking with exercising.
Yeah.
So sweating, the feel-good hormone they release. And after that, now you got injuries. And so you're going through some work internally to actually... And I love what you mentioned. If you're not feeling good with yourself, this is going to impact every part of your life.
Yeah.
And this can be your professional side, your relationship side, and your relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's there are little things that I've had to do, over the last 6 months or 8 months, to make sure that I'm on balance. Or I'm balanced, as balanced as you can be. Have been really just different. Learning just to go for a walk and being okay with that.
Yeah.
Learning that doing a Pilates class is okay, and if I can only do part of the class, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Writing in a gratitude journal every morning and every night, like. I was doing that last year.
How long have you been doing it?
So I did it last year, and I was doing it in the year before that, but I stopped doing it for about 6 months, and I started again at the beginning of the year. And what I've found is it really controls my nervous system and calms it down.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing different to this time than last time is that I'm actually physically writing in a book. So
really?
So there is
not on the notes on the phone.
No, not on the phone. So there's a girl named Dom Alyssa. She's got a podcast called Self Dom. She brought out this book, and it has all of the the triggers for you to triggers. That's the right word, but for you to write. So it makes it really easy.
So what you should be grateful for.
Yeah.
That's something I need to do, because sometimes I'm very impatient.
As we all are. We're all humans, right? We're all trying to do our best.
Yeah, sometimes I'm very impatient with people that I work with, the people that are in my team, and sometimes with clients, sometimes with you, real estate agents. That's actually a very good point. So you learned this from this girl on a podcast, or you had a mentor, a coach? How did you develop? Because I can hear a lot of personal development here.
So there was a friend of mine who had mentioned writing a gratitude list every day, and I'd heard him say it a couple of times. So then I started doing it in the notes on my phone, but I was never consistent with it every morning and every night. I did it, for a few weeks at a time, and then it'll be quite sporadic. But from the beginning of this year, that's a practice that I've started that's been consistent. I've missed the odd day, but it sits next to my bedside table, and I just every morning when I get up after I've gone for a walk or Pilates, I'll do that, and in the evenings.
Is it a kind of a meditation thing?
I think so. I think it's like I said, it's a way to calm your nervous system, which is really good, and just slow down and really think about what are you grateful for in the moment. I always pick really little things like, bumping into a friend at Pilates, or, I swim in the ocean, or, my partner making me breakfast, just being grateful for all of that small stuff. Like, we're so lucky.
Yeah,
we live in such a great place. There's so many opportunities here. And it's all about how you frame it. The narrative. I
agree. So I don't know if you have Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I went to his live events. He was always mentioning to write 3 things that you're grateful for. I haven't done it. I've done a meditation, more of a mental thing, instead of write down physically, and has been very, very helpful. And now that you bringing it up, I should actually spend some time on that, because I often see myself, I'm talking about myself, very impatient, and sometimes it's good to remind yourself how lucky you are, the job what you do. I personally find my job very fulfilling when I see the clients that say, thank you, I was looking for a long time. And this is actually a fantastic tool that a lot of people talk about it, and I'm actually going to action it. Thank you for bringing it up. You do morning and evening?
Morning and night.
5-10 minutes?
Yeah, it takes about 7 to 10 minutes. There is a page with a list of affirmations, and you pick a morning affirmation and evening affirmation. So, sometimes in the night I'll be lying in bed and I'll think, okay, which one will I want to be to, like, which one will I
Yeah.
select? And, you know, and then I write it down. You know, one of the reoccurring things that I write down is there was a comment, one of the questions is, what will make today great? And I often just write, stay calm and focused.
Stay calm.
Really
And
simple.
focus.
You know, trust the process.
Yeah. He's because in these social media times where you get so many notifications and they always put the beautiful things out there, and you always have this syndrome in a certain way, like, he's doing more deals than me. He's making more money. He's got a better boyfriend, girlfriend. There is never ending toxic tunnel there. Actually stop it. Taking a moment and reflecting on it, I believe there is a lot of value now.
I think that your point there is really important. It's for me personally, staying in my own lane is vital to my success because, you know, I have goals that I want to achieve and they're going to be different to other guys in the company, you know, or my competitors. You know, I know what I want out of life, and that's okay if it doesn't align with, you know, the guy next door, and not trying to compare myself to them. And listen, it's hard to not hold on to that stuff sometimes. You know, it's hard to just say to yourself sometimes, stay in your own lane, doesn't matter what they're doing, just focus on what you're doing. But that's something that I really try to do, and probably more so over the last 6 or 12 months when I've had these issues with my health. You know, I can only do what I can do and do that to the best that I can.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you. I'm gonna spend some time on that personally. So now 11 years in the game, okay, and I believe you develop a schedule of a habit which makes you happy inside out, personal relationship, gratitude, work. Oh, I need to do this number of calls. I need to speak with these people. I need to manage Claudia. Big shout out to Claudia. We love Claudia. And that's what I do in the evening. This is the time that I spend with my boyfriend. This is what I'm going to do. So after 11 years, I believe people develop a powerful schedule. Okay. Would you like to share with us what's your schedule? Right. I know now you've gone through surgeries and everything.
But I think it's all quite similar. Like sleep is the most important thing. And like a lot of people tell you that. So, you know, I always try to make sure that I go to sleep by 9 o'clock because I struggle to get up in the morning. I know anyone who follows me on Instagram will like find it really hard to believe that, but I actually do struggle to get up out of bed early. But I do it because I know that I'll feel better for it later. You know, so I love actually getting up when it is a little bit still dark. It's like it makes me feel like I've like had a win already, like I beat the sun, you know. And even if that, I don't know, it sounds crazy. There's, I don't know, you know, I think it's really important to just get out in nature, you know, or do Pilates, go for a walk, go to the gym, do whatever you've got to do. But what I used to do was really thrash myself. Like, and, you know, I used to want to get all the endorphins going before work, but that would make me so tired throughout the day. So how I'm actually living now is, you know, much more easier to manage my energy levels. At the end of the day, I want to be a successful real estate agent and a successful person, but am I looking to, like, you know, be an athlete? I mean, I like to pretend like I am, but no, I'm not. I mean, so I think, you know, having a good night's sleep, making sure, you know, you take that time out for yourself in the morning. It doesn't need to be a whole lot of exercise. It just needs to be time. This morning, for instance, you know, I, you know, went for a quick walk, and then my partner and I went and had a coffee, you know, at about 7 a.m. and sat for half an hour and had a chat and just, you know, watched people walking by. And it was just a really nice way to start the day. You know, because we get into work and it's full on, like, you know, we're making calls from 8 o'clock. I believe that, you know, you should, when you're resisting doing something, it generally means that you should do it. You know, so like you were talking about resisting the gratitude list before, that means that you probably really should do it. I resist meditating. It means that I probably should really should meditate. So, you know, people resist making the calls. I'm 100% do that. But I always find if I do them in the morning,
Yeah.
I get them out of the way and they're done.
Yeah.
And I think, listen, you can work from 8 till 8, you can work from 8 till 4. Everyone's different. It's about, you've got to figure out what your why is and what your goals are.
Yeah.
And then you align your schedule to that.
Yeah. Okay. And real estate wise, do you have a certain amount of, I need to do this number of appraisal per week, or I need to do this, call this, because now you are established.
Yeah.
People know you in the area.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I believe your scheduling was 8 years ago is different compared.
Totally.
Okay.
I was having this conversation with Clodagh about her call numbers the other week.
Yes.
And I said to her, I don't care if you make 50 calls or you make 150 calls. What I care about is the people that you add to the database. Yes, appraisals matter, but what I care about is the connects, right? And the connections you make. And it's about building rapport. This is a long game.
Yeah.
So, yes, I have certain targets that, I want to hit, but I try to manage that in a quarterly basis, rather than going, I want to do this many appraisals in a week, because every week can be different.
Yeah.
So, and I do try to foresee, plan for as much as we can kind of for the future. So I've got stuff at the moment lined up for, midway through the year, August, September, I know that April and May are going to be a little bit quiet. That's fine. I've accounted for that.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what your question was.
That's okay.
Have I diverted?
Yeah. No, that's all right. So you, what's the day-to-day schedule now? Are you speaking with Clodagh? So you now see a little bit the longer picture?
Yeah, I'm about the
quarter.
long game. For Clodagh, it's a little different. She needs to have more strict KPIs because she's only been in the industry 2 years.
Yeah.
So building the database and booking appraisals is important.
Yeah.
But I don't want her to make 150 average calls.
Yeah.
I'd rather her make 50 good calls.
And you actually speak with people.
Yeah. And you build a connection with them and then follow them up with a text after the call and then call them a week later and let them know about what sold down the road and, and then start building on that rather than calling someone once saying, are you thinking of selling? No, they're not. Hang up. Or say, yeah, I've got a buyer, but you don't actually have a buyer and then you don't follow through because you've lied and said you do. It's just, that's not the type of environment I want to create for us in our working environment.
Nice. Okay. So, have a little bit longer picture, focus on the quality. And
I think focus on just being a person first. Sorry, Jason Boone. That's my favourite one. Be a person first, not a real estate agent. How many people have asked me for help with first home buyers or people looking to rent a property or whatever, and I always give people time. And it comes back to you. So I might help someone, with a rental property, but then I'll bump in or do something that's really inconvenient for me. But you know what? Help people where you can. Yeah. But then I'll bump into someone walking down the street saying, oh my God, my auntie's thinking of selling. Can you go out and call her? And I'll walk in and it's a walk-up start. I just believe that that's how the world works. Yeah. You help someone here, it's going to come back to you here. And, Pete Starr has said the same thing. We've discussed it. It's really important, I think, to just, we're in a customer service industry. Yeah. Help people.
Yeah. People skills.
Yeah.
Listen. I like this. Don't treat people as a number. Yeah. Treat them as a people. And now or later you will get the rewards. And I often, very good point when you bring up, see naive real estate agents. They're focusing on the short-term commission instead of the long-term giving value, coming back and sell again, and in my case, buy again, and blah, blah, blah. Love that. Thank you. You moved. Okay, you are a real estate agent. You're very consistent. You start to develop your schedule. And now you are at the point to say, okay, I need to hire someone. And that's where you need to add another skill set, which is leadership. So often I see, especially high performer, they struggle to let it go. Are you a little bit of a perfectionist?
I mean, I can be. I actually don't struggle to let some things go.
Okay.
So I want Clodagh to be successful and I let her in. I let her in a lot. So I don't hold on to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I just find it hard sometimes to go slow and actually explain things.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing, you know. But, you know, there was a few months ago, it was probably a little bit longer than that, you know, she booked this appraisal and I said to her, I want you to go out and do it on your own. And she said, oh, but, you know, XYZ reasons, I think you should come with me. And I said, no. I said, you need to go, and if you've got to lose it, then you'll lose it and we'll figure out what went wrong. I was like, but you need to throw yourself in the deep end.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I said, and it was important for me to show her that I backed her, right? And I trust her.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm pretty good with letting go. I struggle with the time because sometimes I think, oh, it's easier for me to just do this one thing where I should, you know, I've been getting better at it. But going slow, explaining to her what needs to be done so she can therefore learn.
Let them learn, let them mess it up.
When I went away last year, I mean, she put 3 deals together within a week and a half and I wasn't there. I mean, I was in the background. I knew what was going on. But, I mean, she's she's great. I'm very lucky to have her.
Very good. Okay. I like this. So, good lesson there. So, let them mess it up.
Yeah, it's okay. Fuck-ups are okay. You learn from your mistakes, right? I mean...
short term, you will slow down, but long term, having someone that you develop pay the dividends down the line, and just get someone in your team because you're never gonna build a business like that. Exactly. I like that. Fantastic. Thank you for that. I'll ask you so many questions, and sorry, I'm taking longer than I told you. My apology. Right. Okay, so thank you. So now you are a leader. You're teaching someone else. Let's talk about for people now in the market right now. So March 2025, and when I speak with people, I'm a buyer's agent, so I speak with people that say, oh, I need to sell first because I need to buy after, okay? And often they tell me, I don't know when I need to sell. Is it now the right time? Now is the election, and now he's American, and he's Donald Trump, and now he's my cousin, blah, blah, blah. I believe you face this situation all the time. Okay. What's your tip for a potential vendor that they are looking for the right time, which is, in my eyes, never happen?
Okay, so if you're a vendor looking to sell right now, the most important question is, why are you selling? So are you downsizing? Are you upsizing? Is it a sea change? Are there financial, struggles? I mean, unless you know the why, I can't then determine what the best course of action for you is. Because, if someone is, looking to upsize, for instance, like this is a great market to upsize in. At the moment, the market has been a little bit patchy, but there is 30% more stock on the market than there has been, this time last year. Yeah. And once you have sold, then, you can feel quite comfortable that you're going to find something. Yeah. It's not like we're in a booming market where the market's going to run away from you, where you need to secure something first and you sell second. So, I think it always comes down to the why. Yeah. But I mean, as vendors want to always sell for the most that they can and buyers want to buy for as cheap as possible, but you can't pick the market. Yeah. What I've seen, actually, I won't go on to that because who knows what your next question might be.
No, that's okay. Keep going.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, in the last couple of weeks since we had this rate cut, people are saying, oh, the market's going to, go up by X%. And, all that rate cut does is give buyers a bit of confidence. We're not going to see any drastic changes in prices, in my opinion. It just, and since that, like every deal has been a little bit harder to put together. I've sold quite a few properties with cooling off periods over the last few weeks, one of them being an auction property. Thanks, Perry. But I was like, what do we have to do to get the deal done? And if there's no other buyers there at that level, what am I going to do? Say, no, you have to give me a 66W? Yeah. We just need to adapt. Yeah. And I think that's probably really important. Market like now is adapting to challenges and changes. Is making sure that you're working every property. Yeah. Every buyer, every inquiry. Yeah. Like both agents need to be at every property. It's just, they always should, but it's just really important at the moment. And then giving your vendor that consistent feedback and letting them know what's going on in the market, and their property in comparison to the market, the eastern suburbs is the only place in the world, I think, other than, parts of California, where if you don't sell your property in 30 days, there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
So, but that's
so true.
However, that's what's one of the challenges, I guess, an agent in the East faces.
Yeah.
So we need to deal with that.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you. From a buyer's point of view.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I believe you deal with buyers, it'll be painful. So what's your tip for them?
Yeah.
They go out there, but they don't really want to give all the information. They want to keep it for themselves. They even do with me as a buyer. I work for them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's your advice for them if they like the property, instead of play a bit of let's wait, overthinking? What's your
I
advice?
said this to a buyer on Saturday. I said, what's important is that you communicate with the agent. I said, tell them you like the property. Don't be overly keen. Like you want to hold your cards close to your chest, but communicate with them so they build a rapport with you and they like you, so they want to help you. It's like anything in life, right? You can have your cards close to your chest. You don't need to tell the agent how much money you want to spend. But if you like a property, do your due diligence. Buy the strata report, have that reviewed, do the contract changes, like get that stuff done before you start talking money. But I just think, look at things that have sold that's comparable and have a conversation with the agent. And then you figure out where you see value.
Nice.
Or hire a buyer's agent,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're very.
Thank you. Okay, and I'm gonna link on the YouTube description your Instagram page, and people when you send you text on selling, buying, or just any personal help. She's a busy girl, but she likes to help people.
Yeah.
And you've been very helpful with me recently with the property we purchased from you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank
Appreciate
you, Perry.
you. Bye-bye. This is general advice and does not take into account your objectives, situations, or needs. You should consider if this advice is suitable to you and your personal circumstances. Please read any applicable PDS beforehand.